Alright, what's up guys? I just wanted to share with y'all a pattern test I did today comparing some different buckshots. So first we tested the Winchester Super X, about $6 a box. We tested the upgraded Double X at about $13 a box. And the big difference I found between these two is that the Double X is copper plated. It's supposed to reduce deformation in the barrel as it's coming out. And then finally, we tested the critical defense buckshot. So I know it's marketed as defense. I'm a hunter, and I don't really use a shotgun for home defense, so I like to test them all. A lot of times these buckshots will be labeled for one thing or another as marketing, but we're gonna see how they did. So here's how I ran the test. I shot each of these at 20 and 40 yards. I shot all of them through my 1985 Browning Auto 5. It's a Japan gun, so it is okay to shoot these modern loads through that Moroku barrel. And I shot it with a factory full choke. The reason I did that is because I don't have any special chokes for this, like wad strippers, and I wasn't shooting a Federal Flight Control wad, so I figured, heck, you know, I've had success with other shotguns and buckshot in the past, so I just wanted to see how the full choke would do. So starting off with the Winchester Super X. This was the 20-yard pattern, and it actually wasn't that bad, okay? So the interesting thing about this shotgun is that my point of aim, I put the bead right here, so the diamond was floating on top of the bead. The impact on these first two shots, when I shot that one and that one first, was about 8 inches high, interestingly enough. And throughout all day, consistently, all these buckshots threw that shotgun pattern high. But 4 inches at 20 yards from the Winchester Super X. Not bad. Moving on to the Winchester Double X. A much larger pattern. The only thing I can think of here is because those copper BBs didn't compress, they didn't hold together coming out of the barrel. They kind of spread it apart because they were so rigid. But we had an 11-inch pattern at 20 yards, and for this shot it ended up holding bottom of the circle here. And finally we had the critical defense at 20 yards. Absolutely awful with a full choke. 16-inch pattern at 20 yards. Point of aim was here. Point of impact was mostly, I'd call it, the center of the pattern was right there. No core to the pattern, super spread out, and something I personally wouldn't use for hunting even at 20 yards. So through the power of editing, I'm going to jump you to 40 yards. Give me 2 seconds. 1, 2. We're back for 40 yards, and prepare to have your minds blown because it was absolutely awful. So first, the Super X only had 2 impacts at 40 yards with a fixed full choke. Next, the Double X, a little better. We had 5 impacts, a 14-inch spread at 40 yards. And finally, the critical defense, only 4, excuse me, at 40 yards with a 17-inch spread. So the only thing I can think of is it had to be over choked, at least for these loads in this shotgun. I'm not knocking the ammo companies, the ammunition themselves. I think my best conclusion for this is that with a 28-inch barrel out of a 1985 Browning A-5, buckshot does not like a full choke. So I had one poster board left, and what I did was I switched the full choke out for a factory modified, and I went ahead and shot each shotgun through it and marked it just to see if these spreads got any better, and I'll show that here in a second. But I do want to note one thing of how high this shotgun shoots. Y'all saw it was about 8 inches high at 20, but at 40, let me point out, my point of aim was at the bottom of each circle. And these are 22 by 24 inch poster boards with a 12-inch circle. So these things are shooting insanely high at 40 yards out of this gun. and I don't know why. So if any of y'all have experience shooting buckshot out of a old A-5, feel free to drop a comment on why the heck it shoots so high, because with duck loads, and I duck hunt with that gun a lot, it shoots pretty much right on the money, just above the bead. So as promised, the modified. So back for the modified. So the black dots are the Super X with a modified choke at 40 yards. Had approximately a 15-inch spread with 5 pellets on target, excuse me. The orange dots are the Double X at 40 yards with 4 on target. Approximately a 12.5-inch spread for the ones on target. And finally, the circled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were the Hornady critical defense. And these two was just a slug I needed to shoot, which is why I had this this extra poster board. So my conclusion is that a modified choke with everything except for the Double X shot much better at 40, at least out of that gun. It still was high. My point of aim was the bottom of this crosshairs right here, but much less high for the distance than the other ones. But anyways, you draw your own conclusion, and make sure to pattern your gun before you take it out in the woods. Well, that's all she wrote for today's pattern test. I'm gonna plan on doing a lot more tests with other buckshot rounds through that gun and these buckshot rounds through other guns. But the moral of the story is get out and pattern your shotgun. Don't just go buy some buckshot off the shelf and expect it to kill a deer at bow range, because I'm more confident with my bow at 40 yards than in these particular shotgun rounds out of that A-5. If y'all have any clue why it's shooting so high, or you have input on chokes or whatever you use with your A-5 and these rounds, drop them in the comments below. Other than that, thanks for watching.